to Diaspora Forum. Today's topic is going to be very challenging, and I hope we all have a little patience. Yes, the topic of today is very sober. We have to stop killing our wives. We have to really stop it. I've heard from a lot of people, I've watched a lot of people talk about this. In fact, I have to give kudos to Amaze. If you have not listened to her podcast, please listen to her podcast. She got a lot of people across the world to discuss it, and they did a good job. But I have a different take. So I had to do this video. I had to do this episode. We are really appealing to men. And sometimes women to stop, but most of all, men to stop killing our wives. I have a disclaimer to this, and at the same time, I'm going to spice it up a little. Let me play the devil's advocate, because we have to really go into the minds of these monsters and see why they do what they do. Yes, why? Everybody comes out and blames the men. Blame the men. Okay. No. Nobody's going to cast aspersions at women, but we must try to look. If the prey must survive, the prey must think like the hunter. Yes, the prey must think like the hunter to survive. So what is the problem? We'll get into it in this episode. But like I always say, please like, subscribe, ring the bell. You got to log into your Gmail account for you to do these things. You cannot just click and watch it like that. It's not going to work. Please like our channel. Subscribe, please. Let's make this thing happen every week. Okay, like I said, before we start for today, we'll go to Proverb of the day and see how our forefathers try to align their thoughts with what is going on today. Take a look at that. Take a look at that proverb. It says, if evil lasts for a long time, it becomes a tradition. It's true. If we allow this killing of a woman become something that has become part of us, if we don't stop it, if we don't do something, before we know it becomes a tradition and we think it's normal, it is not. It is not. We got to stop it. And I do not want to dwell on semantics. Some people say femicide, but actually what I'm discussing is uxoricide. Yes, look it up. Yes, the killing of our wives, not just killing women for the sake of their gender. Our wives, uxoricide. But before then, we'll go into the first segment of the day, which is Did You Know? Oh, by the way, it's flu season. I hope you watching me, you've taken your flu shot for the season. Yes, it's very, very important. If you have not, please try as much as possible to make arrangements for it. And speaking of which, the flu shot. Did you know that an African slave, I repeat, an African slave introduced United States of America to inoculation, to vaccine, to this flu we're taking right now? Did you know? Yes, look it up. By the way, I do not make up anything in this channel. These are things that are in the books. All you need to do is to open your books and find it out. It's right there. This African was a slave in Boston. His name was Onesimus. Yes, Onesimus. Remember the Onesimus in the Bible? The slave that served Paul. That was the name when the congregation of Minister Cotton Mather's congregation bought a slave for him. His name was Onesimus. Well, he named him Onesimus after the same slave that served the minister, or rather the prophet or Paul in the Bible. Now, at this time, smallpox was ravaging Boston. The minister, trying to educate his slave, was talking, even though he thought, yes, this was a Puritan, even though he thought he was a thief, he thought bad things about him, but down the road, he realized that this guy, even though a slave, was a very smart person. And he asked him, Have you ever had smallpox in your life? He said, yes, he did. And then later on, he said, no, he didn't. Then when he asked him deeper, he found out there was something in Africa. He told him about variolation. Yes, in Africa. Can you imagine? This was 1314. They were practicing something the United States did not know. And he had to teach this Caucasian who thought he knew it all. Thank God he listened. He told him they used to scratch at people who had smallpox and then put it on their wounds. Does that sound familiar? Vaccination, inoculation? The father took it up. When the father actually had to research this thing, he found out that people in China were practicing the art of variolation. Yes, look it up, variolation. Scabs from wounds of people who had pandemics like this at the same time. Putting it on people's nose, putting it on people's wounds. Even in Turkey, they were practicing. Can you imagine? Turkey, Africa, China, practicing the same thing, and both the three of them never met. Look it up. The father took it up against a lot of backlash. But it worked. It saved Boston. And from there, it's continued. Of course, nobody ever heard of Onesimus anymore. But thanks to the black African slave that gave United States of America is vaccine today. Did you know? Like I said, click like, subscribe, and click the button. So, the topic of the day, please stop the killing of our wives. It's a heinous phenomenon that we must address before it is given an African face. Yes, people today, all they hear of in the news, oh, this Nigerian, this Ghanaian, this Cameroonian has killed someone. No. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing, like in Diaspora Forum, is for what? To attack the miseducation of our people. Look at it. Look at the pictures on your screen. It's happening right there in Germany. Look at it. It's happening in United Kingdom. Look at it. It's happening in Australia. Look at it. I'm not making this thing up. That's why I'm bringing the whole screenshot for you. It's happening here in United States and in Canada. It's happening rampant everywhere. Even Syrian refugees. It's happening. In fact, even in Pakistan, men are actually fighting. Can you imagine that? Fighting for rights to kill their wives. Yes, look it up. Look, it's right on your screen. And of course, we're not denying the facts. A lot of people of color, a lot of Africans kill their wives. Like the case of Sylvester Ofori in Florida. It's the latest one. Went to the bank, shot his wife. Or the Cameroonian, that shot his wife, that killed his wife and then committed suicide. Or, look at the pictures. Or is it David Ochola, the Nigerian, that killed his wife in cold blood and called the police to come? Yeah, I'm all yours. Or is it Babajide Okeowo? Yes, in Dallas, Texas, that killed his wife as well. Look, a disclaimer, please. I'm a divorcee. I passed through these things. I'm passing through it. Yes, that is why I said I'm going to be the devil's advocate today. Let us see why. We have to go into the minds of these people and see, why do they do what they do? What is the problem? I am a veteran. I belong to the tribe of people that, I've been talking to you. We have been discussing for 9 minutes. In this 9 minutes, 4 people in the United States, as United States veterans, have taken their lives. 4 in 10 minutes. They've just shot themselves. They've just died. Let that sink in. 20 veterans die every single day in the United States of America. So that is the tribe I come from. I come from, the tough knock. We saw a lot in Iraq. And this is the way they deal with what is going on with us. It's not a question of just blaming those who commit suicide. There got to be something, and we got to go into their minds. What is the problem? Without necessarily glorifying the act. Yes, what is the problem? Why? The first thing we have to accept is this. One is poverty. Yes, look, culture is part of it, but guess what? Poverty. Because guess what? By the time most people of color, whether Indian, whether African, whether Syrian, by the time they finally make it abroad, guess what? They're almost 40 years old, 40 plus. By the time they get their acts together, get their papers, regularize their stay, they're almost 45 towards 50. So by the time they now decide to go home or decide to get somebody to marry as wives, guess what? They're pursuing 50s. So the truth is this, whether we accept it or not, marriage is business, it's an investment. These men are investing in these women. It's unfortunate they don't tell them that. That is why today people say, oh, these men see their wives as ATMs, as cash. No! Look, the truth is this. Most people of color, when they finally make it abroad, make it as in finally regularize their stay. It takes them 5 to 10 years to regularize their stay before they now go back to their countries and marry someone. And when they marry someone, they see it as an investment. Age is not on their side. And most of the time, they marry people against the wishes of their parents and their relatives. They do. So when these people come, when their wives come, look, no, this is a question. Yes, when they help them, sponsor them, help them come. They do 2 jobs. They drive cabs. It's not because they can't go to school, but they realize that time is against them. That is why they pick up whatever jobs they can, menial jobs they can. These were professors, these were lawyers, these were businessmen that were thriving in whatever countries they were in. And when they come here, they do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, just to make sure that their young wives go to school. They take care of their kids. They take care of everything just so that they go to school. Hoping, investment, hoping that when their wives finish school, that things will be okay, that they can now enjoy the dream, the American, the UK, the Canadian, the Australian dream. Don't get me wrong. Of course, there are variations. People out of infidelity, people out of cheating and all that decide to watch me. These guys, they invest in their wives. Then when their wives suddenly graduate from medical school or whatever it is, then they remember that the law is on their side. Then they remember that their husbands are too old. Then they remember their husbands are stinking. Then they remember their husbands are not good enough. These were people that you were with for 10 years. That sacrifices life for you. And then just when you graduate, then you remember that it's not good enough. Then he doesn't meet your class anymore. What do the men have anymore? That is why they go to extremes. Meanwhile, most of these people do not have counseling, people to really help them. In my own case, oh my God, if not for good friends of mine, Chief Eke, this one is for you. Thank you so much, because guess what? He actually told me, walk away. Remember those days in Iraq? Yes, look at that picture. On the last day out of Iraq, they told us, leave everything, because it was so bad in Iraq, that they had to bring in choppers to come take us out of our positions. They had to fly us out of Iraq. And when my squad leaders saw what was happening, they told us, guess what? Leave everything. Pick only what the United States government has given to you. And when you move, do not look back. Look at that picture. Nobody looked back. That was all. And my friend Eke told me, get into the car and don't look back. Just keep driving until you get to my place. That is how I survived. By the grace of God, with support from friends, because I did not know what else to do. All my days, all the suffering I did was in vain. What if I didn't have that kind of support? This is what most of our people have. Don't get me wrong, some people stay out of greed. Maybe they want to kill their partner to get insurance. Yes, it happened, like in the case in Australia and in Britain. But most of people from Africa and from, imagine the guy that, look at this, the guy that slaughtered his wife in Germany, the Syrian refugee. Imagine all the work they did, living in camps until they got to Germany. And then suddenly the wife said, you know what, you're no longer good for me. I gotta go with the kids. What has the guy anymore? Life is over. That is why they seem to give up. Does it justify killing the woman? No, it doesn't. But we have to understand how we push people over the edge. Does it justify putting our hands on? No, but we got to. Yes, look, I hear people say, oh, women do better than men. No, it's just not. The men, look, before the woman comes, the guy finally owns a house. Do you know how long he's been living with people? Do you know how much he owes? When finally he gets his act together, you come, all you do is you just go to school. You have a house to stay, you have a car to ride, you get the green card, you regularize your stay. That is why the men feel cheated. And when the woman files for divorce, takes the car, takes the house, knowing people at home are against him, he feels he's alone. Nothing else to lose than to harm. So, again, like I said, it does not guarantee, there's no reason to put your hand on a woman, but this is why people do what they do. So what do we do? Please, men, number one, marry your mates. Most of us, when we finally make it, we go home. At 50 years, you go and marry 20 years old girl. You know it's transactional. You know he's just laughing at you. It's only a question of time. As soon as he gets his papers, she's now going to turn to her boyfriend that was at home, kick you out of the house, import her boyfriend, file for her boyfriend to join her over, regardless of how you feel. Remember that. We have to learn from day one that marriage is business. Yes, it's sad to say it's business, especially for poor people you don't have. And please, parents, you have to understand your children are dying, support them. Because without parental support, these men feel they lost everything. And then, what about women that cheat on their husbands? Maybe you raising kids, 3 kids, and then suddenly one day she tells you, by the way, they are not your children. How do you feel? Or you say your wife is pregnant, a woman you've labored everything for. Then suddenly you find out that someone else is the father of the child. That is what drives some people over the edge. We got to deal with these things. We have to deal with these things. Pastors, imams, parents, please talk to your children. Talk to your children. We have to address this thing. Yes. I've spoken to you for about 18 minutes now. Guess what? How many people just died? 9 soldiers just shot themselves. Yes, 9 soldiers. In fact, 10, as I'm talking right now, just committed suicide. Now, as I'm talking to you, every 2 minutes. That is why I said, let me play the devil's advocate and let us see why. You know what the men are facing. You know the racial discrimination against people of color in the new world. I will stop there. Let us learn our lessons. Let us act right. Let us discuss. I know wives that bring their mother into the country against their husband's wishes. Wives that come and go, that no longer care for men who gave everything, were cab drivers, who did different odd jobs. But like I said, we got to learn to walk away and not look back. Yeah, we got to shout outs. Take a look at the first one. We'll go to Washington, United States. Philip Emeagwali. Dr. Philip Emeagwali is a Nigerian-American engineer and computer scientist and geologist who was one of 2 winners of the 1989 Gordon Bell Prize, a prize from the Institute of Electronics Engineers for his use of a connection machine supercomputer to help analyze petroleum fields. His formula allows a large number of computers to communicate at once. Dr. Philip Emeagwali's resume is loaded with many feats, including ways of making oil fields more productive, which has resulted in the United States saving millions, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. As one of the most famous African-American inventors in 20th century, Dr. Emeagwali has also won the Gordon Bell Prize, the Nobel Prize for Computation. His computers are currently being used to forecast the weather and to predict the likelihood and effects of future global warming. He is dubbed the father of modern computer, symbol of African achievement. The next person is Jaime Hurtado. Yeah, look at it, Jaime Hurtado in Ecuador. Yes, an African American in Ecuador. Mr. Hurtado founded Ecuador's Democratic Popular Movement, a political party that fought for the welfare of the working class in Ecuador, South America. He was the first Afro-Ecuadorian to be elected to Congress in Ecuador and the first to run for president. However, like others, when they see bright African star, he was assassinated in 1999. Patrice Lumumba, Muhammad Gaddafi, anyone? Do you remember that? Remember his name in Ecuador. Number 3, Gaspar Nyanga. Yes, look at that picture. He was a rebel slave leader, 1570 to 1609 in Mexico. See that? Ecuador, Mexico. Gaspar Nyanga was an African prince who was captured by slave raiders in Africa and shipped to the New World. He landed with several others in Mexico. There, his blood showed who he was. He soon became the leader of a slave revolt in Mexico that led to the creation of a slave colony in the mountains with a population of over 500. It existed for more than 30 years. After violent clashes, Nyanga obtained a treaty, ladies and gentlemen, that gave the slaves their freedom. This was before America was. Through freedom, this place still exists today, although history books will not tell you this. True, freedom is not free. Nyanga took it by force. He sent word to brothers and sisters in Haiti and Jamaica. They revolted too and won their freedom. Check your history books. Did you know? Number 4, look at that. Yes, look at that American stamp to show you I didn't make it up. Matthew Alexander Henson, Maryland, United States of America. The damage has been done, but history demands that we remember that Matthew Alexander was the African American who accompanied Robert Perry on 7 voyages to the Arctic over a period of nearly 23 years. They spent a total of 18 years on expedition together. Mr. Henson was the experienced hand on board who managed the Inuits and did any other thing to help in their survival. As such, he was the first man, the first man to step foot on top of the world. Yes, the North Pole on April 6, 1907. After their return, Robert Perry was promoted to Rear Admiral and Henson was summarily forgotten and took a job as a clerk in New York. You remember him? He was the first to step foot on top of the world. Yes, an African American. That's not all. Look at number 5, George W. Gibbs Jr., Florida, USA. Look at that. Please remember this brother's face, his name and achievement. Mr. Gibbs Jr. was the first person of African descent to step foot on Antarctica. Yes, the first one was at the North Pole, and then this brother was the first to set foot on the South Pole. Yes, at the top of the world and at the bottom of the world. I didn't say the North Pole as in Matthew Alexander Henson. This is another brother, Mr. George W. Gibbs Jr. He was a World War II U.S. Navy gunner. After the war, he became a civil rights leader from more than 2,000 Navy applicants. Mr. Gibbs was among the 40 chosen to accompany Byrd in his history-making expedition sailing on USS Bear. Mr. Gibbs was the first person to step off the ship to set foot on Antarctica on January 14, 1941. Top to bottom, we did it. Did I say more? Be proud of yourself. You just have to persevere. This too shall pass. Did you know? Did you know? Remember, I'm a motivational speaker. I look forward to visiting you so we can talk one-on-one. Please, 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 like, subscribe, ring the bell below, and leave your comments. I know a lot of you will come after me for this, but it's okay. So long as we can look into the minds of these monsters and stop this killing of our women, of our wives. Thank you to Ayer Fashion. Please, please visit him here at North Clark Street. I can't wait to hear from you. Keep up the good work. Keep your head up. I'm proud of you. You're doing good. Thank you. Emeka Roy is my name.